Good morning and good afternoon and good evening. Don't touch that dial. It's Sunday and it's time for On Location. On December 5th of last year, Wabash Junction celebrated Lionel Train Day. Now, this was a national day across the country and a perfect day to sit down with Bill Beatty and re-examine what he's done to his layout. Welcome back. Here we are again on location. This time we're visiting or returning a visit to Wabash Junction. And last time we were here, we noticed a complete, almost empty room. But now it has been renovated and recycled and everything else that you could possibly imagine. So tell me, what basically led you to this layout?
I wasn't happy with what we built back in 2009. And with the help of my son Aaron and the staff at Beatty Televisual, we totally assembled the 2009 Lionel layout here at Wabash Junction and doubled it, if you will. We have a U-shaped layout, twice the size of what we have, and it's still too small, but I kind of am restricted by the room boundaries.
So how large could it get?
Well, not much larger, or we wouldn't be able to walk through the doorway. So the layout is supporting two main lines, 21 siding tracks, 42 switches, and over 24 operating accessories. Now, I took great pride in making this kind of a public layout for the kids, because that's what it's all about.
Right.
It's to see the expression on their face when they push a button and they see some action going on. Wow.
Well, it starts with the kids,
Yeah.
but I've seen a lot of old gentlemen in here looking at trains as well.
There has been. And over the holiday period, there was a lot of the elderly grandpas that came in and said, oh, I remember that. And as you said, they just brought back old memories. You could see them go back in time by their facial expressions.
Right.
It's been fun.
And it's been fun, and it's been an adventure for 30 years for yourself?
About 30 years we've been doing this now. Yeah.
Wow. And what is the response from the public every time somebody walks in here? What type of feeling do you get
Nothing
from
but
them?
praises, and I thank you all that have come and seen the layout, but everybody's always been positive about it. They have a lot of fun pushing the buttons and remembering, and the oodles and ahs and the expressions, and they take out their cell phones. Can I take a picture of this? And,
Yeah.
And
Well, speaking of cell phones, you can now operate Lionel trains via your cell phone.
that technology is getting very close. Yes, I wouldn't say that it's a remote control to try to control your trains in Florida, but the technology of being able to manipulate those your Lionel trains through an app for your smartphone does exist, yes. And matter of fact, I haven't gone that route, but having the background with the Beatty Televisual side, instead of having a humongous long board that has all the switches on it, my dream that I've had for many, many years, going even back to the 2009 layout, was to be able to control it through a touch panel, i.e. your phones today. So these 42 switches and the 20 some odd siding tracks that we have are all controlled through a single touch of a button. And on the touch panel, it is basically a graphical drawing of the layout itself, and where there is a switch or siding, You just basically take your finger and push the button, and it turns that either on or off or toggles the switch. So
Amazing technology.
it is, and it just allows, though, with a remote control, and we can maybe talk about this, the remote control systems that Lionel has developed for the starter people, to be able to enjoy the layout, not from a single sitting position, but to be able to walk around the layout and control the trains all over the place, and yet observe how they are working or interacting to an accessory with you being in front of them, like you're part of the model railroad experience.
Right. And you have so many facets to the actual railroad. And we also want to talk a little bit about how you perceive the layout before you build it.
That's a hard one to answer. Well, again, we call upon experience. You know, you started off many years ago with just an oval track, and then that got a little bit of boring after a period of time, and you added a siding, and it grew and grew and grew and grew. And by doing this a number of years and by building a number of layouts for the store as well as other folks, you get these concepts in your head of things that you'd like to do if money's not an option and space isn't an option. So many of the things that are on this 2015 layout are a result of, oh, I wish I would have done that then scenario. And so it's the layout is always what's the word I want? Involving, I guess.
Interactive.
Yeah, interactive. So it's, you know, there's, the pocketbook is the limit. What can I say?
That would be the limit. Everybody has to budget for a certain amount of things, and
Yes.
you can only do so much at one time.
Yeah, in the given space you have.
Well, in the given space.
So if there's somebody out there that would like to give us a building so that we could come up with a Springfield Lionel club, that would be fantastic.
Well, you know, you could also go 2 layers.
My son and I have actually talked about that, either going up or going down, and even where we are sitting right now, there was in that thought plan of this design of having a bridge go across here. So, yeah, there's some things that are still up here that are getting thought about.
No, that's fantastic. Now, you have this collection of memorabilia, and also this is new. These are new materials
Yes,
that you
yes.
have out. So where do you draw the line as to what you want to put out at any given time?
Well, I don't know if I can draw the line. I'm kind of wearing 2 hats. You know, I've got the hat of the hobbyist, and I want to see I want to be involved with that interaction between train and accessory. At the same time, if I put the Wabash Junction hat on as far as being a authorized dealer for both Lionel and MTH, and we'll talk about that, it is a lot better to increase the enthusiasm of your prospective customers when they can see what you're doing or play with that accessory device. So I'll put anything out as long as I've got space, and that's my problem. I'm kind of running out of space again.
Yes, and time will go like that, and you will run out of space. But you could switch in and out different models of trains and make it more adventurous for...
I've already had people in here that said, well, Bill, you can just punch a hole in that wall and go next door. And I said, I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, that's where the engineering department is, so we might have to rethink that one. Have you noticed a large uptick in business of Lionel trains, or is it pretty much a constant?
Well, it's not a constant, and we were blessed that business was good during the Christmas holidays. And I think as we come out of the recession, that is helping a little bit as well. Again, this is fun money that a young family may have to spend on. But the generation of kids, you and I are old enough that, and we lived both right next door, very close to a real railroad track. So we grew up with the sights and the sounds. And many of the older folks that come in, the grandpas, you know, I remember when I was a kid, my dad, my uncle, my grandfather worked for the railroad, and I was able to do this and do that, you know, take a ride or travel with them for a day. They remember the sights and sounds, and of course then in the Lionel's heydays back in the 50s, just about every boy had a train of some type. Like today we have our PlayStations and video games. And it's getting the young kids to, through grandpas and their parents, to introduce them to the fantastic world of model railroading.
You do that with a small railroad. You have a small railroad in here as well for little kids to come play with.
Right, right.
And so hopefully from that early stage, they could build up on what you have out here. Yes. So where does Lionel Trains and Wabash Junction go from here?
Down the road, down the track, I should say, coming to a city near you. That's a good question. I think it's going to be one of technology. You know, you and I both grew up, and we can remember the 1950s automobiles, okay? And our grandparents remember the model, you know, the early model Ford products that are out there. Right. And our generation or our parents' generations, the grandpas would remember those Lionel trains of how heavy they were and how dependable. And we have worked on dozens and dozens of product that Lionel made back in the 40s and 50s and restored them to, again, be able to somebody to pass them on to the next generation or to enjoy what they have. The technology that's in the new Lionel, it'll be interesting to see what happens. There is a lot more play value because of the interactivity with the remote controls, but it would be really nice if we could preserve the longevity. I mean, let's go back. If I were to say a VHS recorder to you, we would know what that would mean. That product was out there and used by everyone for 30 years. But it seemed like in 2009, 1 month, they're gone. You know, technology superseded it. And I hope that doesn't happen with Lionel as well.
Well, it certainly has been around a while. It started, what, in 1928? Or?
Actually, Lionel celebrated their 115th anniversary.
Okay.
So I'd like to give you a little wristband that says Lionel Trains to celebrate their 115th anniversary, which was the tail end of last year.
Well,
or last year in general.
Thank you very much.
Right?
Thank you very much.
So they started in the 1900s.
In the 1900s.
Early 1900s.
Well, it's a little tight for me, and hope it don't cut the blood off.
Yeah,
but well, anyhow, that's really, really nice of you. Thank you. Well, the another question I wanted to ask you is about your train shows. Do you get often a chance to go out and visit other train shows and see what other people are doing?
Good question. I would like to do more of that. Train shows traditionally are on a weekend, a Saturday and Sunday. As far as Wabash Junction, we're open on Saturdays. And on Sunday, I'm very active in my church, and that's the Lord's Day. So I may be able to get to or to participate in one train show a year that's local, and again, I'm trying to be the local guy. Try to participate in that and basically take the store to the show. If there are times when a train meet is occurring, whether it's over in Decatur, Champaign, the Peoria area, or up in Galesburg, and I can get off and find somebody else to run the store and cover for me on Sunday, then it makes a nice excursion trip for my wife and I.
Okay. And what about others, when you go to these train shows, when you're able, okay, what type of volume of crowd do you see there?
It's always been good. It's always been good, and the age is all over, from little ones to elder grandpas. And again, it's to watch the expressions and watch people try to find something that may reflect back to their early childhood days.
And what about people that are fresh, brand new? How can they start to get involved?
Well, that's a good question too. One of the things that I probably would not recommend is to buy something off the internet.
What's the problem with that?
Well, you don't know, depending on the product, you may not know where it's coming from. Now there are obviously, Wabash Junction has presence on the internet as an authorized dealer, and there are many, many others that have. But it's kind of like maybe going on a blind date. You know, you don't know what you're going to get into. And I've heard and seen too many stories of, I bought this off the internet, the guy, and it's a used product, the guy said it worked fine and it didn't, or what they thought they were getting wasn't. So I guess in a positive way to answer your question, look for a local dealer. And if you're new into this hobby, work with that local dealer. Try to improve your education and knowledge so that you don't make a bad decision if you were to buy something online. Okay. Again, the technology has changed, and I have seen so many people that they buy something that, oh, it's 1950s, it's got to be good, and it's got issues. And we are really today. It is getting harder and harder to find parts to rebuild those, and they spend money because it's a old antique and it's, quote, collectible, when for the same dollar amount they could have gotten a new Lionel that would have had a warranty, that came from somebody that they could go back and have a face-to-face conversation with, that they could get support for it, and if they have problems with it, again, it's building that relationship with a local dealer.
And you've touched on something now that I want to expand on a little bit, and that is servicing Lionel trains. Obviously, we here at Wabash Junction, you have a repair shop.
Yes.
And you're able to get things repaired. Or you have, I mean, in cases you can have to send it off or something along that line to have it repaired. Or do you not anymore? Does the manufacturer allow you to do all repairs?
As a authorized service center for Lionel, we have two choices, providing that the customer has bought the product from an authorized dealer. Again, watch out for the internet, not everybody is. And they can provide us with a proof of purchase, a sales receipt, and it's within 1 year of date of purchase, and it's within 3 years of the catalog date, okay, that product was made. In other words, if I had an engine that was made in 2000 and it had been sitting on somebody's shelf, and even though they may be a legitimate dealer, because that engine is 15 years old, no, they're not going to get a 1-year warranty, okay? Chances are Lionel probably doesn't have the parts for it. So I got off a question.
That's okay.
As a service center, we are able to repair it locally, and if we can't, then arrangements are made with Lionel for them to resolve the issue.
How are they at resolving the issue? I mean, they're a very dependable company. They've been around for a long time.
A long time, but there's been some changes. Lionel is really no longer in the United States anymore. Like most everything else, it's made offshore. So they've, in my opinion, sorry, Mike, they've lost that direct relationship between management, manufacturing, and service. because they're not actively maybe pursuing what is happening in China. They're working on faith that the product that's coming over here was built to their specifications, was built using good parts. And then the next issue is we need spare parts. And again, in the economy that we live in today, and unfortunately it's a throwaway economy. I mean, look at television sets, look at any of your electronics. DVDs, your players and all that good stuff.
Yep.
Unfortunately, the trains have got the same, are in that same boat.
But does that make the older models more valuable?
I won't say more valuable.
Or collectible?
I won't say more collectible, but there is a personal.
Is it like fine wine?
Yeah, it ages.
It ages.
It ages. Yeah.
And it improves with age.
And can improve with age.
Can improve with age. Well,
But unlike the wine which you consume, the trains, we need parts to keep them running. So that's going to be the test of time to see how long Lionel or other third-party people will make parts for these 70-year-old train engines. And again, the same thing with the change in electronics. You know, when we were starting out, you had vacuum tubes, you had individual components that went on a circuit board. ICs, integrated circuits, came out. Today, instead of all these individual components that have been populated on circuit board, we're now doing surface mount technology, more miniaturization of processor control chips, and that stuff is all customized. And it's here today, and a year from now it could be discontinued by the manufacturer. There was anything wrong with it, but technology has superseded it, and now that becomes very hard to repair an item that was using all these electronics because some manufacturer decided he was going to make a model change, and that totally changed everything else. Time will tell.
and that keeps you on your toes.
It does. It does.
All right. What about, is there anything else we might touch upon with Lionel trains that we haven't talked about yet?
Oh, there's lots of new things coming out. They're kind of keep things as a secret until they're ready to release them. And it comes back to simplifying the product for the customer. Maybe two things to expand upon. You know, when we were in school, we went through basic electronics or basic electricity. We had shop classes. We even have home ec classes. Mm-hmm. They don't teach that stuff anymore. And so I get a lot of folks in that appreciate the layout, that they really want to do something. But Bill, I don't know. You know, I don't know. I'm not good at using power tools. Well, okay, so I'm going to have a friend make my bench work. And then it comes back, I can put the track down, but I have no idea how to make all these accessories
Well,
work.
or the switches.
Yeah.
I mean, I was watching your son Aaron operate this a while back, and there was tons of switches that he was going around and clicking to make sure one train gets on one track and then another train would go on another track. And so there was no train accidents,
Yes.
as that would be. But it was quite a elaborate connection that you have with all this.
Well, so to answer your question, Lionel has come up with a coin of phrase from the computer world, plug and play, where you can buy an accessory and you buy a special piece of track. And you take that accessory that's plug and play and plug it into the track, and that's it. Okay, they've pre-wired it for you. Okay, that's one of the things. The second thing that they brought out in the last 2 years has been these little Lion Chief remotes. So you have an affordable way to control your train and the sounds of that train from a little handheld remote that is unique to that engine. So now we can run multiple Lion Chief products on the same track at the same time, having multiple remotes, one for engine A, one for engine B, and yet avoid those collisions that Aaron was walking around trying to do. So now we can get dad and son enjoying a simple layout. So that's a plus.
And that makes it family integrated,
Here you go.
and that's what it's really all about. Again, back to the kids.
Yes.
Right. So it's been a pleasure coming to talk to you again today, and I know that you're a pretty busy guy, and you've got to get back to your work and all. But I do appreciate you talking to me and letting us know basically the dynamics of Lionel Trains and your little shop here at Wabash Junction.
Thank you, Curt.
All right. And maybe someday we'll be back when you double layer things and, or rip out a wall.
Rip out a wall, I think it's going to have to happen.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks for joining us today. We still want to hear from you. All you have to do is pick up a pen and pencil and write On Location, 1287 Wabash Avenue, Springfield, Illinois, 62704. And Mr. B still wants to hear from you if you have any connection with these negatives that we have here in our studio. And you could write him at Dave Beatty, 1287 Wabash Avenue, Springfield, Illinois, 62704. Don't forget, come back next Sunday. We'll have new guests, and we're looking forward to seeing you. Have a good day.